And starting here in West Virginia, the president will pick up the pace, kicking off multiple stops per day from now until Election Day. Expect his focus to be much of what we've seen over these last few days. A big-time push on immigration, with his critics raising concerns the president is fear-mongering. And while the political world's state of play may be getting all the buzz now, overnight in Missouri, the president lamented that was not the case after two major stories in the last week or so captured the country's attention. President Trump with his mind on the midterms, suggesting the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh and the mail bombs sent to high-profile politicians served as a distraction to voters.
We did have two maniacs stop a momentum that was incredible, because for 7 days nobody talked about the elections. It stopped a tremendous momentum.
Those comments coming as the president pumped up his supporters and his rhetoric on immigration overnight in Missouri, amping up the fear factor.
If you don't want America to be overrun by masses of illegal aliens and giant caravans, you better vote Republican.
Earlier in the day, the president startling some by suggesting migrants could be shot if they throw rocks at the military.
I told them, consider it a rifle. When they throw rocks like they did at the Mexico military and police, I say, consider it a rifle.
Now, the president's pitching his new plan to deny asylum automatically to migrants who try to enter the U.S. illegally between ports of entry.
Illegal aliens will no longer get a free pass into our country by lodging meritless claims in seeking asylum.
If the president signs that executive order, it would almost certainly set up a legal battle, since the move would violate U.S. and international law, allowing refugees who qualify for asylum to obtain it, whether they arrive legally or not. The president's also facing fallout over a racially divisive web video he tweeted to his 50 million followers.
Put it on social media, because I'm being nice. And they said, well, what do you want? Well, I want a pardon, I want a pardon. Oh, you want a pardon? What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? Murder.
The video links a twice-deported Mexican immigrant convicted of murdering two police officers to Democrats without evidence.
It's completely and totally inappropriate. There are ethical lines that you should not cross.
To critics, it's a callback to the infamous Willie Horton attack ads, considered a low point in the 1988 presidential campaign. 30 years later, it's not the White House, but control of Congress at stake, and the president's blitzing key battlegrounds to help Republicans hang on to as many seats as they can.
So, Hallie, with this push on immigration, it seems to be all about that base for the president.
It really is, Savannah. And if you look at the numbers, that is what puts it into perspective here. Recent polling shows about 3/4 of the GOP believe that the issue of illegal immigration is a very big deal, but only about 19% of Democrats agree. So in other words, the president's focus right now on immigration is all about making sure that Republicans who see things his way get out and vote on Tuesday.
Hallie Jackson on the campaign trail, West Virginia this morning. Thank you.